Good morning, everyone. My name is Wendy Ulmer.
And I'm Sharon Pierce.
And we want to welcome you to You
Can
Can Handle the
Truth.
Woo! It is December, and we are right in the midst of the Christmas holiday season. I'm hoping everybody is having a great December so far. A lot of things are going on in the world, Sharon.
They certainly are. Things have really taken an uptick in the Middle East, of course, we know that. And then our country is waiting to swear in our new president.
Ooh, that's just, a month away? We've got a month on that. And, of course, the last time you and I met together, the things happening in Syria, the landscape was changing, and now, boom, it's a whole new Syria, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Every day in the news cycle, things are changing. It's like it's hard to keep up with everything that's happening. And then, of course, the Christmas season, as we've already mentioned, I was looking at Christmas news, and I found that Americans are going to spend more on Christmas this year, according to the website Demand Sage, and this fellow puts together all of the statistics about spending that's going on not only in our country but around the world. And I want to get your opinion on this. Christmas spending in 2024 is anticipated to rise by 7% compared to last year. Does that shock you?
It does quite a bit because of the inflation rate that I think my budget would be trimmed down.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that Americans are really doing a lot of holding back on Christmas spending this year. And I was surprised, too, for the same reason. Inflation has just been kicking everybody's tails this year, and it's only gotten worse. With the average shopper expected to spend about $1,638 on gifts, travel, and entertainment. This increase shows that consumers are willing to spend on the holiday season despite the ongoing economic challenges. So don't rain on my parade. I'm going to spend that money. Nothing's changed as far as the holidays. Do you think that's a optimistic outlook, or are we, maybe not being wise on that? What do you think?
I think it could be some optimism that the economy is going to improve with the change in the administration.
Right.
That's always a hopeful thing. And then I think people are hopeful and joyous at this time of year and may not always use the best discernment with their credit card maybe sometimes.
Yes. It's a big party month, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's a lot to spend on. The biggest cost of the Christmas season is, it's a no-brainer, Christmas gifts. 80% of the money is going to be spent on Christmas gifts. 79% is going to be spent on food, which explains a lot in January when we're all going on our diets to get back to... Oh, I have to lose that 10 pounds I gained in December. And then beyond that, beyond the gifts and the food, come the decorations, the candy, and number 5 on the list that people are spending their money on, alcohol. Because, as I said, it's a big party month.
It certainly is.
But this was the kicker. Read that last one. How much?
Overall, Americans will spend over $1 trillion on Christmas.
What'd you say?
1 trillion.
1 trillion? Trillion. That's right. Trillion. Does that...
That is amazing.
We spend $1 trillion on the gifts, the food, the candy, the alcohol, the decorations. I have to say, I like the decorations.
I love the 50% off my Christmas decorations at Hobby Lobby, like every other week or something that's like that, and I'm loving it.
I really love driving down my neighborhood and seeing all the Christmas lights. Because I know every year We spend a little bit of extra to add to the yard. It's not that I don't enjoy the material things that come out of the Christmas holidays. Are you a good gift giver? Are you one of those people that just knows? Like, we have a friend, you and I have a common friend, and she just always seems to know what to buy people. She pays very close attention to the details of who people are and their likes and what they wear. And so she knows people. She's really paying attention. So she's the best gift giver, and I'm the exact opposite.
I'm guilty of that as well.
I'm horrible. I'm the one person that you're dodging. Like, I hope she doesn't show up at the store because I'm returning this. I had to return Wendy's gift.
I was always a great elephant gift, or if you have the elephant gift,
Yes.
I am a great shopper for that.
Yes.
But not the good stuff.
No, because
I get detailed lists from the kids so that I don't mess it up.
That's very nice and convenient. That is a kind thing to do. But it's stressful when you're out and you can shop for 2 or 3 hours and not have picked anything out because you just don't. You're confused and befuddled about it, and that's me. I'm confused and befuddled. So that's stressful for me. That's a stressful thing about the time of year, is knowing what to spend my money on, because I just am not geared towards that. So now I have to tell you about an experience that I had when I was in Ukraine. I went on a mission trip, and we had a sister church over there, and the pastor's wife had a birthday while we were there. And I remember we went to the store to buy her birthday gifts, and I was looking around in the store and thought, oh, here's a pretty necklace and such. And one of the Ukrainian women approached me and said, what are you doing? And I said, oh, I want to get her something nice. She goes, you don't get her something nice. You get her what she needs. She needs soap. She needs the cleaning supplies. She needs rags. She needs those kinds of things. And that floored me, because we don't do that here. If I gave you a bottle of Dawn dishwashing liquid for Christmas and put a bow on it and said, here you go, Sharon, we would think that's a little odd. And then you'd probably be thinking in the back of your head, oh, Wendy's got some financial issues. She's cheap.
Seen how I wash my dishes and decided I need Dawn.
But that's what they do. In other parts of the world, they give what's needed, and it's so appreciated. And so I bought her like a little bucket with things in it, cleaning supplies and things. And that's what we all did. None of us bought her any of the frilly things that we women tend to gravitate towards. And that would be that's weird by American standards. We just don't do that.
I think we've devolved, whatever you want to call it, because I remember Little House on the Prairie when I was a kid. Laura was so excited that she got a brand new tin cup and one piece of hard candy from the store.
Right.
So that was frivolous, but they were so small and and so appreciated. What they did get was so appreciated.
Right.
But
which goes back to the stocking. They put oranges and apples, things that you needed that you didn't normally receive. Food is a great gift, and that's on our list. That 79% of people who are spending their money are spending it on Christmas food. But it's really the decadent things and the very expensive things. But if I handed my kids an orange for Christmas, would they go, oh, thanks, Ma?
we used to get like tangerines because in the day you didn't get all of these wonderful fruits you got seasonal fruits at that season. You didn't have access to
Right.
the way we do now. And so special fruits were really,
Right.
really, really appreciated. I remember that as a kid, or getting walnuts and pecans and
Oh, that was
in
a
the
huge deal.
shell.
Chestnuts.
Yeah, it really, that's bringing back such good memories. Thank you for bringing that up. Because I've sure gotten away from that.
There are some people who still cling to this. Like, we have a friend who makes his own preserves and such, and shout out to Gordon. He makes his own butter. He makes his own cheese. He makes his own cheesecake. Oh, yeah, that's a good gift. But he jars a lot of his, there's he was just talking about elderberry and the strawberry preserves and cherry preserves and the jams and stuff. And man, he's got that pioneer woman thing going on really well. He's good at that.
He is really good at that.
But I've gotten those for birthdays and Christmases and such. Hint, hint, Gordon. Haven't received any this Christmas. I'm waiting. So anyway, in thinking about the rampant materialism that we see here in America and how much money, $1 trillion, that we Americans will spend on Christmas, and then how they do things in other countries, like Ukraine, where you receive what you need, that immediately made my mind go to Jesus. How God gave us the perfect gift. He gave us exactly what we needed.
Yes, he did. What a precious gift.
Isn't it lovely that he doesn't give us what we want, but what we needed?
Yeah. That my best thinking has got me in a lot of trouble without Jesus before I was saved. And I still, if I get off on what Sharon wants to do, rather than stopping and taking that moment, Lord, what do I need to do for you today? What is the plan?
What is your plan? What is your will that you have for me? It got me thinking. My brain goes to different places when I'm thinking. I'm sitting on my couch drinking my coffee. Life is good. And I start thinking about Jesus and the Christmas season and stuff. And immediately my brain goes to, I wonder what heaven was like before Jesus came to earth, like that night before. What was it like in heaven? Were the angels, they were saying goodbye? Were they, how we, have you ever thought of that? What that last moment before Jesus came and was placed in the womb of a teenage girl, before that happened, what those moments were like beforehand?
I do wonder, because it makes me think of the beautiful prayer that Jesus does before his crucifixion with the disciples and for them after, and his concern and everything. And I could just picture him comforting or speaking to the angels and the heavenly hosts. Like, this is,
Right.
I can just picture him again doing the same thing of just, it's going to be all right.
That's, wow, what a visual, because you're right. His concern was not for himself, but for those that were around him, comforting those who were around them. Well, that's a good thought.
It's just such a beautiful prayer. It makes me cry.
Yeah.
Because we know what he's facing. We know he knows exactly what he's going to go through. And he prays that, such a wonderful prayer there, that it's just, and that's what I picture Jesus doing as well there. But I mean, our God is an awesome God.
Yes. For me, when I think about that, the character of Christ being so compassionate towards others and what others are going through, And then the amazement when the angels saw Jesus' birth, when Jesus was born, and the angels having not seen him for 9 months. It was the first time they would have been separated from Jesus. For 9 months, that must have felt like such a long period of time. Them watching his birth and then going, singing. They break out into song, with the shepherds. And then you bringing up Jesus when he's his last night with his disciples before he's crucified. And he says, I'm going to the Father. He's looking forward to that reunion. And again, we know that he's looking forward to the reunion with us as well.
He is.
Like it's when you really start to study the Word of God and get into it and say, okay, I really want to know who God is and who Christ is. There's a huge payoff in that.
There is.
To be able to know what his character is like. We're not going to find out everything about him, but we get a glimpse of this very compassionate, loving, beautifully charactered individual. What a gift. That's a gift.
It is a gift because for me, it seems like the idea of Jesus is coming is so exciting. It's something I'm looking forward to and praying for. And it also takes all the fear out of death because how wonderful would it be to, I'm not wishing that I died tomorrow. I don't mean that.
I understand.
But it just really takes that fear that sometimes we can have about death but we get to go see Jesus.
That's right. That's another gift.
It's a wonderful gift.
It's so easy we were talking about the busyness of Christmas and all the gift giving and such, and we get sidetracked off what the greatest gifts of Christmas are about, because the world has put its own spin and its own ideology on what Christmas is and what Christmas is about. We've seen it in all the Christmas movies and stuff. Well, it's about the lighting, or it's about the gift giving, or it's about love and falling in love. It's about finding your mate. It's about family. No. Christmas is specifically about the greatest gift. And I'm not saying anything that people haven't heard millions of times over and over. And sometimes our ears get so tired of hearing the same message that we want to hear these other messages. It's about the Grinch's heart growing 2 sizes larger than it was, right? Or we tend to bring in these other ideologies about it, but we've got to get down to the nitty-gritty of things, because if we don't, we're going to miss, again, what this special season really has to offer, which is Christ. And you mentioned Jesus walking on earth long before he was born to a virgin named Mary. Jesus is eternal. He is the one who was not created. He's not created, even though he was born by the Virgin Mary. That was not his creation.
No.
That was not his creation point. He has always been. He is eternal. So all things were created by him, by the Father, by the Spirit. He walked with Adam and Eve in the garden. He wrestled with Jacob, which we had talked about. He had dinner with Abraham, and he had a war conference with Joshua. The commander of the Lord's army meets with Joshua and says, here's how it's going to go.
Yeah.
And here's what your job is going to be, and here's what we're going to do. And so, and kept it very simple. But then he wrapped himself up in flesh to come down to mankind in order to give us the greatest gift that mankind has ever seen, which is himself, which is salvation, which is hope.
That's our only hope for salvation.
It's the only one.
There's no other way.
And we tried it. We tried to find it. And I just want to, I want to encourage people out there who maybe have gotten off track, or maybe you've never even heard that Jesus is the reason for the season. Come back to the nitty-gritty of what Christmas is about, because that's where you're going to find your joy and your peace and your comfort is in Christ. He came down here for a specific purpose. I want to read Isaiah 9. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulder, and his name will be called Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there will be no end upon the throne of David and over his kingdom, to order it and establish it with judgment and justice from that time forward, even forevermore. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. And this is such a hopeful message because, as we said in the beginning of the program, there's so much going on in the world. With Syria, with the Middle East. Let's just look at that little area and everything that we see happening. Mankind cannot govern itself.
No.
It's done a lousy job governing itself. We can't do this on our own. And the promise of the Messiah coming, which we know is Jesus Christ, the promise of him coming is that he's going to restore things and govern in the perfect way so that every individual will have fairness and justice and hope and peace. Not just certain groups and factions, and there won't be any warring over this guy's got to get over on this guy and dictators and the whole who's the power struggle that mankind has. What Jesus does is he manages to stop the power struggle and put it back in God's hands. He puts the power and the authority in God's hands. So now we as mankind, we don't have to live this way where our sin is negatively affecting other people. We can walk in Christ as believers, and then when he returns and the government is put on his shoulders, it's going to be so good.
It is going to be good. And God told Israel, remember when he's speaking to Moses and they have all the list of, if you follow me, if you do what I say and follow my commandments, this is how you will be blessed. If you do not, there is a list of things, and we can see that it's happened.
Right.
God told us this is what's going to happen, and we see it all around us. Everywhere. Even our little, if you go down smaller, like we go from worldwide even to our state of California, we've got fires going. We
just had
Malibu,
earthquakes.
Huge earthquake. I don't think the damage was hideous, but there are so many things that we see bad government here. We see very bad government. This has been a state completely controlled by one party for many years now. So they can't say that, if we only had all the power, we would make things right. Well, no.
Right.
It doesn't, and I don't think either party is going to make everything right. Jesus is going to make things right.
Heath and I were talking about that because we lived in California down in the Mountain View area in the 1990s. And it was in the 1990s that California really started to move towards Democratic Party control. So but it was quite lovely to live in California, 1995, 1996. A completely different atmosphere. Now, from what I understand in looking up California's voting record, specifically like presidential elections, California had voted Republican all the way up until Bill Clinton. And then Bill Clinton came into office, California had voted Democrat. From that point on, you see the shift happening in California in the 1990s, going towards more of Democrat control. And in that, they've been able to enact some policies that have been horrific. The Democrats have been able to have pretty much full control and run rampant and wild with their policy. And it has ruined California. What I lived in the 1990s on clean streets, no fear walking down the streets, the atmosphere of that compared to what we see now, where we are, because I'm back in California, having left and come back, it's completely different. It's not the same whatsoever. California does not look the same. It doesn't feel the same. It's not even clean anymore.
No, and it was such a beautiful
The
state.
cleanness, that'll tell you the state that a state is in, is when you can look at it and go, it's just dirty.
It's filthy.
And so to your point, man governing ourselves, we can only rely on our own wisdom for so long before it's tainted by sin and corruption and power struggle. And we're no longer making sound decisions because God's not at the center of it. Let's take it back to Syria. It came out, reports this morning, that within Syria, people were showing up at the hospital abused. You could see torture was happening to individuals. And of course, I don't trust a lot of mainstream media, but we do see that there are things that are happening that are horrific. Jails, their prison system. Like when you go to the Iranian prison system or the Syrian prison system, it's not like ours.
No.
There's a lot of torture going on. There are political prisoners, religious prisoners, and so there are evil, wicked men who are in charge of the prison system who do horrific things within the prisons. When Christ comes back, that's not going to be an issue.
No.
There are things that we choose to do the hard way because of our sinful condition. We don't want God to take control. We want him to keep his hands off my body. Keep your hands off my body. Keep your hands off my spirit. Keep your hands off of my soul.
Mm-hmm. My money, my
yes.
time,
my kids, my family life, keep your hands off of me. Keep your hands out of my government. Keep your hands out of my education system. Keep your hands out of that, God. And when God steps back and mankind is allowed to do what man does, it gets sinfully messy and people are hurt. What we see, look at what's happening with Israel and Gaza. You don't like what's happening in Gaza right now? Put God in it. You don't like what's happening in Israel? Put God in it. Put Christ in the center of that. You don't like what's happening in Syria and Lebanon? Put God in the center of that. The God of the Bible knows all the answers. He's almighty. He's wise. And he's willing to share that with us, which is why he sent Christ. That's the Christmas gift. That's the hope that we're clinging to. And we don't want to bash people over the head with the Christmas message in the same way that where it's just in your face, accept this or else. It's not that type of thing. It's like we want people to know this very compassionate, loving, beautiful, wonderful God who has given us his Son so that we can be reconciled to him and have hope and peace and know who He is, know the Creator. That's at the heart of Christmas. That our sin and our separation from Him provides us no hope, but He sent hope into the world. So let's not sully it with all of the materialism that we see that's out there, all of our busyness. I love what you said before the program even started. The Martha aspect of this is I'm so busy doing, and making sure we get to all of the plays, and we get to the Christmas lightings, and we get to the parade, and we get to all of the parties that are going on with their toilet turkeys, and we get to all of that stuff, and we miss out on the real crux of what Christmas is, which has to be Jesus. Strip all of those other things away, and you're left with Christ, and that's the most important part of it.
That's, what, it really is a wonderful tradition for Ryan and I now to do the Christmas Eve service with our church family, because our families unfortunately don't come. They used to be Christmas and Easter attenders, and not so much even that anymore, that's hard for me. However, I get in the right frame of mind, really. It's a wonderful, lovely moment to be together as that church family, all celebrating the real reason that we're there is for Jesus, and we're celebrating the birth of Jesus.
Yes.
And that's just that is an encouragement for people that there's so much to be found in our church. And you find a good church.
Right.
And you get that church family, and you can celebrate these times and encourage people that maybe are having a very difficult time, that have lost loved ones this year, that are just missing people, that are alone, and we get to come together, and it's so wonderful to be all together like that.
Right. Because it goes so far beyond the tradition aspect. It goes into the relation aspect, doesn't it? The relationship not only that we have with Christ, but that spills out that the church is being the church. We are loving one another. We are loving the brethren. We are walking in the light, not because of anything we've done,
no,
but because the light came to earth and shone upon us. It shone in a very dark place. Those who have been in darkness have seen a great light. And that's also found in Isaiah 9. But that was the hope of that we're not walking in that anymore. So it goes so far beyond us, lighting the candles and the traditional things that we tend to do, and putting up the tree and singing our songs. We're worshiping.
We are worshiping.
And we're looking forward to being able to do that in person. To your point.
It is. It's just a wonderful part of Christmas for me now. It really is. And honestly, we would always go with Mom and Dad, and I would take the kids, but it was more of like, we're doing this to make Mom happy. I'm not there to worship. And it's a whole different thing when you're together and you really are understanding and celebrating with your fellow, our church members, our family.
Yes. For those who are where we used to be, unbelievers who think of, Mom's going to ask me to go to church with her this Sunday or this Christmas Eve and such. Truly, I know so many mamas who say, that's the only gift I want from you.
Yes.
Come to church with. She means that. When she says that, please don't buy me the KitchenAid. Please don't buy me the new, whatever, the new vacuum or that book or whatever it is. I don't need any of those things. Come with me to church. Come to that Easter service or that Christmas service. That is the greatest gift you can give your mama.
It is. And I do believe that it does make a difference for someone, that somebody is going to hear something, and they may not be saved that night, but it's a seed that's been planted.
Mm-hmm.
That maybe is going to come back.
Right.
That's like, I always have hope for that. It's like, oh yeah, I would love for them to come to that.
Yes. And I want people to understand we're not trying to manipulate our kids.
No.
Oh, you just want to get me in church so you can control me, or I can get saved, or whatever. And it's not about manipulation. It is about, for instance, if I met somebody and I said to you, I really want you to meet this person that's very special to me. That's what this is. This is your mama or your daddy saying, I want you to meet someone who is very special to me. And this is what he did for me. He saved me. He showed me the light. And I want you to meet him too. Just come meet him. Come see who he is. Engage yourself to see who this is. Sit down and reason together with this person. Come. I want to give you an open invitation into what do you say? I wanted to say the throne room. I want to give you that open invitation to know and meet this incredible God who made you. So I think we can end up thinking people have nefarious reasons. You just want to control me. I hear that a lot. And it's not about that. It's not manipulation at all. So, are you inviting the kiddos to church this year?
Oh, yes, I'm going to. But the funny thing is people is that they don't mind us telling them about this great restaurant we went to.
Right.
Well, come eat there, spend the money to take the time. This is a special time that I would really enjoy sharing with you, and really hoping that you're going to come to the saving belief in Jesus.
Right.
That is what our hope is.
It is. Every Christmas season I say I want to do it different. Every Christmas season I come into it thinking I really want to make Christ the focus. How do you make Christ the focus of your Christmas season?
I love watching the movies about the Nativity, and I love going back to the birth of Jesus in the Gospel. Those are the types of things that keep me on track. And then I told you about when Ryan just did this wonderful act of kindness for me. I was thinking about that, and it's like, that is going to stay with me more than the gift that he probably gets me this Christmas. Not that he doesn't get me wonderful gifts, but those acts of kindness and the time we take are really, it's that
People
cliche
remember
thing.
that.
It's that your presence is your present a lot of times, and that's important.
I love that. Especially as we live in the world now where time is a commodity. So when people do take the time to do something for us, and that act of kindness, it really stands out. Back in the day, it would have been something that was pretty typical of what people did. And today, it's like when someone's being unselfish, that goes a long way. I think it's beautiful. So that idea of coming into the season and putting Christ first, what would you recommend to other people that they do? It's because it's so easy to get our focus off. There's so many things that are wanting to vie for our attention. So what would you suggest, is the number one thing to immediately, this is something you can start implementing today?
I think it's what you've always said. what you and how you live that resonates with me is that you stay in the Word. That has to be your focus, because there are so many things pulling at us right now, and you live that. And that is what's so wonderful being around you, is that it's not a snow job. This is for real.
Right.
And you can see a difference. And that's, the proof is in the pudding.
Right.
And it is true that if the first thing before I even get out of bed is I have to pray before I get out of bed. And sometimes my thoughts are so muddled that it's like roll out of bed and get on my knees and pray, because it's like, okay, I got to focus right now.
Right.
And then I go and read, and like Oswald Chambers, boy, he is...
Yeah, he likes to kick me in the gut a
Yes,
lot.
he does.
Yes.
And that was a wonderful gift from you. That is another one of those things, that staying in the Word, and don't fool yourself that you don't have time for that. Don't ever fool yourself.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
What do you do?
Well, for me, mine is the same thing. It's staying connected to God. I have to fight for that time. I have to make sure that I'm not lying to myself and saying I don't have time to do it. So it is being in the Word, reading. I love going through the Gospels at Christmas time, and it gets me focused back on Christ, to be able to have Jesus speaking to me, his teachings, and learn from me. I love to learn. I love to hear what God has to say. I was a middle kid, so anybody who talks to me, I'm great with that, right? So it's like, talk to me. So I love that attention, and I get that attention when I'm in the Word of God. It's the Spirit is explaining things to me as I go. I love having a good commentator there as well, like someone like MacArthur or Dr. David Jeremiah, or even going back to Matthew Henry. I read a lot of his stuff. I love it when other people are teaching me what the Word says, and number one being the Spirit in that. But going back to Jesus's life, who's going to then reveal to me how he did it, and his perfection and his goodness, and giving me a standard to live by. See, that's important to me. I know I'm not perfect, but he is that reminder when he says, love one another. If you love me, you'll keep my commandments. I need that jolt every day, that reminder that I need to walk with him. And that helps me in the Christmas season to stay focused, because let's face it, we are busy. Those things don't stop happening. The shopping doesn't stop. The service in the church doesn't stop. The job doesn't stop. The family relationship doesn't stop. Going out and doing the special things and attending the parties, those things don't stop. But who am I taking with me?
We're taking Jesus.
I'm taking Christ with me, so that when I do have to do those things, I'm not overwhelmed by it. I'm not overtaken by it. I'm not walking without his wisdom in it. And that's really, I think, key for, at least for me, and what people can, if anybody wants to take this advice, definitely stay in the Word, stay connected with Christ. You're not going to get lost in all of the other things that are going on, and all of the world ideologies, and all of the government stuff, and all of the have-tos and the necessities. You're not going to get lost in that if you stay grounded and come back to Christ and start out every day with him. Well, we just want to wish a very Merry Christmas to everybody out there, no matter who you're with or where you are. We are praying that the joy of the Christmas season and the peace of Christ is active in your life, and we want to encourage those who maybe it's been a while since you've spoken to Jesus. Come on back. He's always welcoming, isn't he?
He is. He's waiting to hear from you.
Yes, he is. So remember that this Christmas season, and we will see you guys in the new year. Miss Sharon, have a good one.
Thank you. You as well.
My name is Wendy Omer.
And I'm Sharon Pierce.
And
you can handle the truth.
Jingle bells, jingle bells. Yeah, where are jingle bells?